I am Samuel Tony Sawyer. In this program, we delve into the week's major stories, providing insightful analysis and discussions. We often feature a range of topics from politics and social issues to cultural and global events, ensuring a comprehensive look at the news that matters. Our guests include journalists, civil society activists, and experts who offer diverse perspectives in in-depth commentary. Joining us in the studio today is a journalist and a parliamentary senior journalist, Razrock Uri, and we're expecting Amadou Ba, who will help us to critically examine these events during the week. Well, good morning, Razrock, and welcome to this week's show.
Good morning, Mr. Sawyer, and good morning to viewers, and good morning to UIV.
Yeah, it's been a huge weekend in terms of the developing stories basically so far in the country. A lot has been going on. So this morning we want to start off with our first story in Parliament. I'll say in Parliament because the report has been tabled in Parliament. Looking forward to parliamentary process. It's around the Auditor General. We don't have the exact, but we just want to discuss around it quickly and see what the thoughts, what the insight on it. So there has been this investigation into the conduct of the Auditor General and former deputy, Tamba Momo. The report has now been tabled in Parliament. We also, over the past few months, wherein the Auditor General and our deputy also sent out some pressers stating that they don't have a copy of the reports, and they were making a lot of things, and they believe that they've held up to their responsibilities and all of that. But so far, it's got to the point where the president has given Parliament the responsibility to now remove. From your experience in Parliament, tell us a little bit about the process. What will it look like when such cases come before Parliament?
Thank you very much again, Mr. Sawyer. The report about the Auditor General and the issues with regard the sacking or the suspension or actions to be taken against the Auditor General or the recommendation or the position of the President is very, very important. Remember, you talk about Parliament. Parliament is the House of the People's Representative, where you have the people's mandate, where those who are there, they are there to represent the people and speak on behalf of the people, and they should speak the voice of the people. Coming to the point critically, I think every issues or every decision or every action have a means or the ending.
Okay.
Now, it is good or prudent that we have seen the committee that was formed, headed by senior prominent judges, namely a very, very senior female judge.
Yes.
I used to remember her when I was in primary school at Cornwall. We used to go at that time. It was very at that time it was very difficult for you to see a female barrister. She was a judge. That is Madam Mrs. Jones, Nyawo Jones, a Cornwall indigene, and also Mr. Farmer, a very senior state counsel, former senior state counsel, a very experienced lawyer, and another senior legal luminary who is now a Supreme Court judge, that is Ivan Sisi. They have conducted their investigation and have tabled it to the President, and the President has watched it based on the advice from his advisors and based with the understanding. Remember, the Constitution gives the President the mandate to act on behalf of us. He's the one that was voted for. He's the most senior employer of this nation.
Yeah.
He has accepted all the recommendation and the issue now in Parliament. I don't see anything that is political on this for me.
Yeah, first of all, before we go deep into it, but just give us a bit, how does issues like this look like when it comes to Parliament, the processes basically?
At times, it is very, very, very political. At times, it is very, very, very highly contested. Because you see, the general issue of the auditing in Sierra Leone, I myself have been a victim before as a journalist. I was interrogated and even arrested and even busted and even condemned and pulled that went to go and snatch or theft documents at the Ministry of Lands. For quite a while, I remember under the then President Kuruma, four of us, Razrock Uri, Abraman at Star TV, Samuel Kuruma, African Champion, that I was representing Satellite newspaper.
Okay.
Abraman was representing Kuriku and Chota newspaper. Mr. Samuel Kuruma was representing African Champion. And Toronto is a disease now. I was just about.
I just want to.
If people want to now, I'll go to the point. But what I want to bring, I'm going to the point. If people are talking about audit report now, they should also give credence to four of us. Because we are the sacrificial lamb. At that time, we used to call it classified documents. Even though the document has been tabled in Parliament, we went to go and cross-check information regarding Lands Ministry, where Sandy, the current minister of Sandy, currently in SLPP, under
yes, and we give you kudos for that, actually.
So coming to the point now, coming to this point, you see, the Auditor General's issue has always been topical issues. Remember, successive government of oppositions and the issue of poverty is generally or internationally is to capture power. And most time when you're in opposition, and the opposition, remember the current ruling party now, SLPP, trumpeted on this Auditor General's report they used to castigate the former then government who are now in opposition. They also are now using it as a means to castigate the current government, especially when issues were troubling regard the false signatures allegedly from president office and the city council issues.
So that's
what I want to say on this point, I want people to understand is for us to allow the process to unfold itself, because and parliamentarians should take off the eyes of politics. Remember, now the catch there is going to be a vote. And the report has been tabled. I know you want us to go nitty-gritty how they vote in Parliament. And in Parliament, we have three ways they vote. One, collection of voices.
Yes.
Second, the description of fingers. And secret vote. But the most important thing in such issue like this, which is having constitutional backing, like you talk about constitutional instrument, statutory instrument, you need to have a two-thirds majority.
Yes.
But the catch there is I think when they are voting on this particular issue, they vote twice. Remember, it's the same pattern they used to vote for the speaker. The last one they go for a simple majority. If you don't get simple majority, the document will be tabled for 21 days. So I don't see anywhere the Auditor General will go off the hook.
So let me take you back quickly. Let me take you back quickly before we get to this. So let's look at the process. There has been a lot of, like I said, this is a very topical issue actually regarding the Auditor General. Okay, and the alleged professional misconduct and all. Now let's look at the process basically. What's your take on the process? Now before we come down here and we look at the document being tabled in Parliament finally, there has been pressers, like I had on stated about the Auditor General saying they've not been handed a copy of the report, and the deputy also, and they've said on their side they argue that they've ensured all level of professionalism. On the other side, the allegations are they've not done this and that, and also we've seen around the facts around it, the matter also states that because they have ventured to audit the president's office and also other information coming around it about city council. Now, let's look at the fact behind this and the process. How will you rate the process actually, the investigation process?
I rate the process very fair, because I said what I was saying earlier. I was part of this process, not in an investigation. I've been covering along with PAC. There are lots of hues and cries. The Public Account Committee, who has the mandate to investigate. Remember, the Public Account Committee, they at the Auditor General's office work with them. They provide technical assistance. Also, they have the mandate to investigate all these councils. There are lots of criticism against them for not investigating FCC. A recommendation was even made by the Public Account Committee by successive deputy speakers of Parliament. I've been covering the PAC. You see, the Auditor General, you see, I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty because I don't want to do trial by the media. That's why I say the process is fair. But on the most serious points...
How fair do you think the process is?
One, let's be professional. Now, as a journalist, we are here to analyze, or as a civil society or whatnot, we are here to analyze the issue, but not to do trial by the media or to do judgments, because that's not our role. We should not be prejudicial. We should allow the process to unfold itself. But coming to the point of itself, the Auditor General has a role to be more professional. If you are auditing the president's office, and he has also to audit the public, the councils generally, I want to just specify to say about city council now to be specific. Your duty is to be very professional, to manage information. Allegedly, people are making so many hue and cry, making allegations, even the media. Where the local media here in Sierra Leone were very curious when information or documents were leaking to other international media, as explained about the audit process. Remember, there is a rule and there is a catch there as stipulated in the Constitution that the Auditor General, after the process, the document should be given to be tabled to Parliament through the PAC, the Public Account Committee.
So
they have the
are you
responsibility.
saying that there was a gap like there?
That is one way. That is one of the allegations they're investigating both of them from, and also conflicts of interest like Momo. That's a particular company. That's why I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty. But
let's look.
Those are all the areas. See, these things are professional ethics. Remember, the generals have supervisions. They have we have other institutions that are supervising that particular institution. For instance, the Public Account Committee and Parliament as a general.
Okay,
so they have the responsibility to checkmate. Even ACC, I've been going along with the piece, as I said, we are going to go together with the journal. Even Tamamomo, we have talked together. It will be very well. But if you have such allegation, and even the media, for instance, let me give for instance, there are times, some of these auditors, they are very happy when we are going on these investigation with this oversight. Just ask some of the reporters, Johnson and others. Yeah, some of them will confess, yes, we are very worried on to just conclude, but at times, most of these auditees will challenge them. Most of them they will see these auditees, let me just go on that part, these auditees don't have the right to take them to court, but they don't apologize for their mistake, they don't apologize for their mishaps, and the media most time will report let me just run, then the media most time will report on those particular areas, because at times, some of us, the media will go for just that sensational headlines. But if you go through the oversight committees, these line institutions that are overseeing this ministries, department, and agencies that the auditing department is working along to checkmate some of their processes with that audit report, you know that they have so many flaws.
Okay, we'll come back to you. We've been joined in the studio by Amadou Ba, another commentator and a journalist also. Amadou, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, good morning.
As you met up discuss, we're discussing about the Auditor General, the tribunal report set up to investigate the Auditor General, which has been tabled now in Parliament. First of all, before we get to the report, I just get your take also, as I had asked as well. What's your take about the process, the investigation process?
Well, in my view, the investigation process will ended already because there's a report out. But in a nutshell, I think the process was a little bit slow in terms of coming out with the findings, because given that that particular seat is a very, very key seat, and it was being left to somebody to be acting in that particular capacity. As a matter of fact, it was very, very important for the state to have done what it could to have finished with that since 2023 when the president finally suspended her, you know. And it is rather unfortunate, but we've now seen a report out, a report which ourselves and a deputy have said they have not gotten a copy of that report. Again, we think, in my opinion, I think they should be given the opportunity to have access to that particular report, because they also have a part to protect, which is their integrity. I mean, say what you may, they are falling prey in this particular political turmoil, because in my view, this whole thing has got a little bit of political sensation.
Okay.
Laya Telopias, we all know, used to be somebody which the country would precinct for pointing out issues around accountability. And what brought about the switch, right? And a lot of people who are in our defense seems to be pro-opposition people, and pro-government supporters seem not to be.
So, Ahmad, do you think now this issues, the allegation both on the side on Auditor General, both Tamba Momo and a deputy, and on the allegations that it was due to alleged the allegation that attempts to investigate the office of the president. Do you think this in any way affects the public trust in the audit report and in the democracy of the country in any way?
Well, in my opinion, our country is being governed by a constitution. And out of that constitution, you have other acts that make preventions and, of course, that deter certain things. I don't know if that is in the case of audits, right? And the presidency or the executive arm of government, we all know, it's the most powerful, powerful arm of government. We can all agree to that. They have the huge sense of influence, because even in that position which Laya Telopias finds herself, it is incumbent on her to know that the president is the boss. I am not saying that should not prompt her to investigate the presidency. I don't think the presidency also rejected the fact that they were not supposed to be investigated. I think the misunderstanding here is that the process which they used in doing that particular investigations seems to be contravening the laws of the Audit Act itself. And that is why a tribunal was set up, right? Okay, so for me, what I think we should talk about now is, are we going to use this as a case study, right, to ensure that we do not have these lacunas that is prompting us to be arguing over who is to be seated on that seat of accountability, right? We need to be sure. And do we need to enhance our law? Does our law need to make it clear that the presidency should be investigated and the presidency should question the process?
Saying that we need to have the law. We should not be investigating the office of the president?
I am not saying we should not be investigating.
Okay, let me hold you.
And not even the presidency condemned them being investigated on accountability.
I'll get back to you shortly in a while. Let's go. So shortly, lastly, before we move, there are many other stories to look at actually. And let's look at the process in Parliament. How the reporters in Parliament, like we're talking about the voting process. What do we expect to see? Like in Parliament right now, there's no two-thirds majority. Yeah. So what are we expecting in Parliament so far?
That is the most important area, and that is what the most important point now we should focus our attention, the entire nation. The most important thing, debate is going on. That's why I said we should take off the political events and allow the process to unfold itself. Already the truth to reveal itself on that particular day. Variety of players has made an allegation, both anti-Momo, that they have not received the documents. But unfortunately, we have not got the side of the tribunal department. So it is both incumbent on either side, the lawyers of variety of players and the community. Remember, the lawyers has the mandate. The lawyer has the mandate to charge me for the document. My brother was talking on the processes of law. That is one important area before going to Parliament is the recommendation that has been tabled in Parliament. What is the entirety in that recommendation? Taking aside of the process of whether the suspension was very legal or whether Parliament should go by the recommendation, but the most important area is the review. The recommendation emphasizes of reviewing the law, the Auditor General Act. My brother says something very important. From my own view, I don't think they were investigating the president as an individual, but they were investigating the presidency in the office. That's part of the process. And we should understand that the role of the Auditor General is not to investigate.
Should the process of accountability spare anyone in the process of investigation?
No. Nobody's saying that, like what my brother said. The presidency office never refuse or never challenge that the office should not be investigated. But there was an issue of bureaucratic processes. That is to say, whether the law was followed.
Like you said, we actually will look forward to what's
on the other area, coming out to the point of Parliament, no matter what you say, the issue has become political issue. Come back to the point. You see, now we have two House of Representatives in Parliament. Initially, we used to have home parliament. That should have been interesting if we have that home parliament, independent and whatnot. And traditionally, now we have these two houses. That is the red camp and the green camp, the Turumbu and the Pauper New Direction. And you have the Parliament Chief. Traditionally, by law, they should vote on the side of government. But remember, this vote.
No, are you saying traditionally they should vote? But I mean, they should.
Conventionally,
they should be representing the people and not sentimental.
They should now go there. That is what the law say. I'm not saying my own mind. This is what is incumbent in our law books. Remember, our law books is too stupid. It's a parliamentary journalist.
Yes, but they should veer up there. Their actions should reflect.
Did you follow the process of the speaker election?
Yes.
All the parliamentary votes go.
I'm saying they are representative of the people. They should not take the political lens.
I'm not saying that. I have a bite on this.
I'm not saying they are taking the political lens. I say conventionally, untraditionally, because in the sources of law,
are they not the ones that the people are expecting now to maintain the balance?
The direct representatives of the people are the members of parliament. That is, remember the parliament chief, they were voted for through their coverage members of parliament. Like what you used to have in America, through a coverage votes. Not direct representative, but indirectly, they are representing their coverage members of parliament and chiefdom. Not the people directly.
That's what I think.
On the area of the votes, say what you may say as I was talking, there are three processes of voting in parliament. One, the conversion of voices. But why the speaker will say, how do you say hi? Say, but on this particular area, that's a constitutional instrument. It's very the vote on the secret vote for 2/3 majority. That is, I think, 98 members of parliament. It is difficult for either side to have that 98. But the catch here you have to know, just check the way they vote for the CY, the Commission of Inquiry.
Okay.
If the voting process go twice as it used to be with no 2/3 majority, they will go for simple majority. If they don't get simple majority,
thank you.
We are explaining the process. We don't get simple majority. They will table the document for 21 days and become.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to give you back on about the next story.
No, it's okay.
So we want to move to our next story. Residents, many among which are market women across CRS community in Grafton, have expressed frustration on the recent demolition of their shops and stores by unknown men with the help of armed police personnel, they allege. This incident has left many devastated and thereby calls on government for a swift intervention. Our reporter Samuel Ibrahim Koroma files in this report.
Markets are important engines for urban growth, while also providing sustainable solutions to accommodate this growth. It's been also very vital in building sustainable cities and strong communities. CRS community in Grafton is close to being faced off in its enjoyment of a marketplace.
We don't have a burial site in the community, nor do we have a market in the community. The only spot we have been managing as a market, they have demolished. Government, your intervention is needed. We don't have a community center and hospital.
Where there is a market, people will take their little stuff to sell. But if there is no market, how will the people live? We have our kids. We do not want to be idle as the government have said don't.
These residents, many of whom are women, are devastated, downtrodden and frustrated on the levels of destruction on their life savings.
I am not happy. I am frustrated. Schools are about to open, and the little money that I have saved to pay my child's university fees is what I used in floating the store. And in the morning, it was demolished. I am not in the right state of mind.
Some days ago, police raided this market, and I was on site working because I own one of the stores, and that's my material, and we were working. When we saw them, they panicked. I tried to film them, and they pointed their gun at me and threatened to kill me. So I jumped and sustained these injuries.
And now the only allowed area we have to establish marketplace is about to be taken away from us. Most of these interventions are products on microcredits, and this exercise was not to my knowledge as section chief.
The land in question is an acre in size and was given to the community some 2 decades ago as a grant by the government of Sierra Leone to the CRS community through Catholic Relief Services during the regime of the late former president Ahmed Tijan Kaba. Stakeholders in the community say they were taken by surprise.
A torment past everybody.
I am in a state of torment. This level of destruction is beyond my imagination. As stakeholders, we were not informed. No court order was showed to us. Even my secretary and I have been taken to court for this property unknown to us.
For this land, we will not know. Unknowing to we.
Meanwhile, the communications lead at the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Country Planning, Abdul Fonti Kabia, has revealed the demolition exercise on the market at CRS community in Grafton. Markets are important engines for urban growth, while also providing sustainable solutions to accommodate this growth. It's been also very vital in building sustainable cities and strong communities. CRS community in Grafton is close to being faced off in its enjoyment of a marketplace.
We don't have a burial site in the community, nor do we have a market in the community. The only spot we have been managing as a market, they have demolished. Government, your intervention is needed. We don't have a community center and hospital.
Where there is a market, people will take their little stuff to sell. But if there is no market, how will the people live? We have our kids. We do not want to be idle as the government have said don't.
These residents, many of whom are women, are devastated, downtrodden, and frustrated on the levels of destruction on their life savings.
I am not happy. I am frustrated. Schools are about to open, and the little money that I have saved to pay my child's university fees is what I used in floating the store. And in the morning, it was demolished. I am not in the right state of mind.
Some days ago, police raided this market, and I was on site working because I own one of the stores, and that's my material, and we were working. When we saw them, they panicked. I tried to film them, and they pointed their gun at me and threatened to kill me. So I jumped and sustained these injuries.
And now the only allowed area we have to establish marketplace is about to be taken away from us. Most of these interventions are products on microcredits, and this exercise was not to my knowledge as section chief.
The land in question is an acre in size and was given to the community some 2 decades ago as a grant by the government of Sierra Leone to the CRS community through Catholic Relief Services during the regime of the late former president Ahmed Tijan Kaba. Stakeholders in the community say they were taken by surprise.
I torment past everybody.
I am in a state of torment. This level of destruction is beyond my imagination. As stakeholders, we are not informed. No court order was showed to us. Even my secretary and I have been taken to court for this property unknown to us.
For this land, we will not know. Unknowing to we.
Meanwhile, the communications lead at the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Country Planning, Abdul Fonti Kabia, has revealed the demolition exercise on the market at CRS community in Grafton is one which was not done with their knowledge. Samuel Ibrahim Koroma, AYV News, Freetown.
Thanks to Samuel Ibrahim Koroma for putting up that story. Wow, quite interesting at Grafton. The people are complaining about the demolition, and the comms person from the Ministry of Lands said they are not aware of this. Let me take you first, Razrock. Taking people's land and barging into them, what's your analysis of this? What should be the approach, basically?
That's very painful. If allegedly what the reportage is going is alleging is correct, I think that is very, very serious. I think the Inspector General of Police should try to engage now, if he's following or have gone through this report or have listened to this story, should try to engage the AIG that is at the East. Because I need to understand, he's covered that particular angle. For him to understand, remember, when there's a court order, the under-sheriff works directly with the Inspector General of Police. His direct boss is the Inspector General of Police. The Chief Justice supervising. But the direct boss of the under-sheriff, I've covered court for a while, for over a decade, the direct boss of the under-sheriff under the judiciary is the Inspector General of Police. And importantly, under the British colony, the British system of governance, the British judiciary system, of which Sierra Leone is part of, the under-sheriff generally is the Inspector General of Police. That is another name. So the Inspector General of Police has the responsibility, or is incumbent on him, to execute court orders by providing security for these bailiff officers. Now you see what the reporters alleged, and the clarity of what the reporter was saying is when they engage the Minister of Lands, the lead communication man, according to their report, deny vehemently that they are aware. But the other point, the people are making serious allegation, making serious concern, raising serious concern, is the issue of markets and burial sites. I think that is the other area where council has a responsibility.
Okay.
The council and all the authorities. But if at all what the people are saying that this land belongs to them. But we should also understand one point, we should not lose sight of the fact that there is no community land in the western area. This area was already have been bought by the British government, referred to as Crown Colony 1808, and that document was given to the first independent government. And all that document is within the Ministry of Lands. So they have been warning people. So community people should also understand that, and they should be very aware that there is no community area, and the ranching system in future is different from
Thank you, Razok. Amanda, let me bring you in on this. It's quite appalling, so to speak, as the report puts out, no market to the people, and they are alleging that police just barged in. There was another man who sustained injury and all. It's quite a human interest issue.
Yes, it is a human interest issue. And from what I understand from the story is the fact that if there is a court order, it implies we need to investigate the ownership of this land. That is very key. Because if Abdul Fonti, who happens to be the Ministry's Communications person, is saying they aren't aware about the demolition, so I think for me the question would have been on which status, right, is this particular land under the Ministry of Lands? That should have been the first question. And then you now start to know if they are involved. But if you now come to the court order, then you need to, first of all, investigate the ownership of that particular
What should be done right now? What do you think should be done right now?
But of course, they are making a call to the government, and I believe a lot of investigations should be done, and then we'll come out with an answer. But this is where we're talking to the Ministry of Lands, and they are responsible for country planning. This is not today's cry. We've been crying for this. We need to plan our communities. If you go around the way people are selling lands, right? And again, even some of the citizens who go around grabbing these lands, oftentimes what happens, if an area is a bushy area, yeah, someone thinks I owe the right to just come and brush, and I can sell it to anyone.
Okay, so as well,
and the people that they sell these lands, they are the ones that go then to lands, and lands again, the whole system just need an overhaul.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, Razok, basically. Now, the police carrying on an operation, I know they were there to protect, as you rightly allude, but the police and Lands is now saying they're not aware of this whole thing. Don't you think there's a gap in the collaboration?
So my brother said the whole issue should be investigated thoroughly. I think if I have the mandate, they should summon an independent investigation committee where we should have /bar station to investigate such issue. Right, because remember, let me just say a second. Remember, a court order can only come when you have contested party for a land, two party. Exactly. Now the people say the court order was shown, and if those police officers went there, remember if the investigation find them wanting that they went there illegally, they too should be investigated for their actions to go and, because they are not responsible to demolish. Their responsibility is to provide security for the bailiff officers. Exactly. The bailiff officers can also come there and have contested party for two parties that are fighting for this particular land, like my brother say. So we should know one, the ownership of the land, who own the land, and what is the reason. And now the most important thing, the ministry says it's not part of the land, but you have unscrupulous officers in the ministry or in the other particular ministries. Some allegedly some surveyors, other officers that are there. That's what my brother said. The whole issue or the whole entire should be investigated and overhauled.
Thanks for your thoughts, Razok. We'll go to the next story shortly. Sierra Leone's Chief Minister, Dr. David Moyena Senge, has said that the dialogue was a bedrock to national cohesion. And let's take the excerpt shortly. Sierra Leone's Chief Minister.
National Cohesion Town Hall team, what can we do together to cultivate the culture and future of peace and cohesion in Sierra Leone can be aligned to a resolution of the UN Security Council, which seeks to foster ways in creating lasting peace. According to Chief Minister Dr. David Moyena Senge, one important element their government is promoting is to implement and ensure women and children have peace, noting that at the UN Security Council, Sierra Leone is advocating for 2 permanent seats at the UN Security Council and as well expanding its non-permanent seat at the council.
You don't tell me many times that he come out, Naton, he go in the bush, he meets food in circle, he say he go inside, we then go and the pistol, then 2 no more go in the office, in the room, and tell them say, we don't kill them, say, go and come out and peace there. They go in the room, they don't kill themselves, they can. We see how that end. I don't work I go to APC party office headquarters in the middle of the crisis where nobody ever hear my go to APC party headquarters. I go to 1 floor, 2 floor, 3 floors, then welcome me and sit down with APC. You don't know, say, that this country, dialogue is the only guaranteed way for speaking about peace and national cohesion.
United Nations coordinator commended Sierra Leone in its journey from conflict to peace, adding that government should ensure there is trust between them and the people.
So these missions have helped Sierra Leone to stabilize and support the recovery from the civil war. Now, was this the end of the UN engagement? It was not. It was not, because the United Nations are here, the United Nations team is here, and the Peace Building Fund, which is a global fund that was established in 2006 to help peace efforts globally, has strongly engaged in Sierra Leone in different areas.
Acting opposition leader in Parliament, Honorable Daniel Kuruma, stressed that one thing that is affecting the growth and the peace of the country is because political leaders make laws that will be favorable to them when they're in power, forgetting that they will one day be in the opposition and those laws will not be favorable to them.
Every legal procedures or legislative processes, we twist, we coin them to serve us. By the time we leave power, we regret because it bites us. Government in, government out, this is our singular problem.
Mohamed Bakar Kamara, AYV News.
Thank you, Mohamed Bakar Kamara, for putting that report together. So I'll start with you, Amadou. This was the Chief Minister stating that the dialogue in Sierra Leone was a bedrock for national cohesion. And then we've seen some other people talking around it. But let's start with the dialogue and the national cohesion. Now, Sierra Leone has gone through an election, and then we have a dialogue coming down. Are we still in a place? Have we achieved national cohesion as a country?
Well, in terms of development, we all know it is a process. And building national cohesion, especially when we are in a country where the politics of our country is so heated with personal interest, in my opinion, you think that we still have a problem with national cohesion, because we've seen cases on issues that we expect the opposition to agree or simply say, okay, this is in the betterment, but there seems to be resistance. Let me take a quote from a very serious let me take a quote from one of the panelists, Madam Aja Marie Bob Kande, the market women representatives, and I quote, "Peace is not just about the silence of guns. It is diverse. The government and opposition should not always be in situations of agree to disagree or disagree to agree. They need to agree that the people are the priority. And when it comes to national cohesion, statements like this should be the one that we should be trumpeting, because both political parties really need to agree that the people are the priority, right? There are cases where the people are saying that the disagreements between the politicians, right, is only affecting the people of this country. So when we really talk about national cohesion, it's not only about changing the perception of the citizens, right, but it is also for the politicians to realize that it is in the best interest that, right, we agree, right, that the people are the priority.
Okay. So I was going to bring you in this one. We've had Honorable Daniel Coleman in the report saying that leaders should be very meticulous, because today they will be and tomorrow they will not be there. That call, what do you think it reiterates in the political landscape?
To be true to myself, I think politicians or the people of this country should aware, especially the people. My brother made a quotation regarding Maribo Kande. I just want to go on the last excerpt. But the most important thing, we the people, the electorate should realize that we are the masters these are just servants. Okay. We should not allow for them to use politics on our mind. In parliament, most times they play more of politics there. Even in the constitution. The constitution at times you can even argue that it's not in the interest of us, the people, because there is a particular area in the constitution which says that if you fail to vote along the interest of a party, they will ask you out of parliament. But we are the people who don't know whether it's in the constitution. But from my understanding, I'm not a lawyer, but I think there is what we call a recall vote. Just for instance, now politicians or public officials are very jittery when they are hearing about reshuffle or no reshuffle. But even in parliament, people are asking for reshuffle, even the voters. We should have that try to recall members of parliament out back if they don't perform, not before the time and their 5 years mandate end. Okay. You see, that is very important.
So the cohesion is mainly on the people themselves. Okay,
the cohesion is both mainly the people and the politicians, but the most important thing, this is time for us the people to realize that the interest of the nation is more paramount than these politicians or these parties. Because remember, the politicians and these political party leaders, both APs and SAP, they think their party is religious. Okay. And
let me hold shortly.
And that is just what I want to say, right? This particular town hall was targeting the people. Agreed. But let me tell you something. They, the politicians, they need to agree. Because if they do not agree, right, it is one politician will even go out there and blow off, yeah, the good possibilities.
So do you know that if us the people challenge them that they should agree, they will agree? Take for instance the former 3 areas we have independent voters, the strong areas of SAPP, Pujon, Daru, and Kairon district to be specific, because the people demanded that they want this particular person to be given symbol. When he was not given symbol, they vote against their party, even though that area is a strong SAPP area. That now is the time for us, the people, to realize that we have the power. We are giving these people employment. We should challenge these people and should demand. But most times, if you listen, we the people are lying for even the politicians. Just take for instance, you have some people who say, but the MP don't care that I don't be bridge. Can member of a be bridge? No, the answer is no. A conference is different from bridge. But most times people inform us journalists wrongly when they are going there. Say, you see, my MP this so. There are times even the project on ESA project, I call it, NASA project. They used to describe it for politicians, which is very wrong. So the people should realize now, you do know that the members of parliament, it's incumbent on them for them to have engagements, that is to say, seminars to inform their people that we're becoming by the issue of narrative players now. If we say now, the issue of narrative players, from my understanding about representation, they should discuss it in their localities, because we're not talking about the constituency. Gather the views of the people, ask the people, collect their voices. They will quote, let me tell you now, they are very, very corny, stony and tricky to quote a constitutional area that is very favor them. They will quote section 94. Ask my brother that parliament regulate itself. We have the power. Then when the media wants to they will quote section 75, premature publication. That is one of the strategies. That is, in fact, as you become a member of parliament, you quickly understand that.
I just want to remind you to be very careful.
So what now, as we all know and clearly understand, the national cohesion in the country is still something we are grappling with. What's the best option? What's the best way? Yes, we understand that people what's the best option to ensure that at a fast rate?
In the first place, we need to empower the 2 civic education institutions that we've established. And we must ensure that civic education is being emphasized from foundational learning. When I say foundational learning, is when a child is in P1. Pre-primary school. Right? When a child is in P1 and that child has started knowing about his or her civic responsibility, and the one which should be emphasized is that sense of patriotism.
Okay, let's work. Also, social media is a very critical aspect of national cohesion in this modern world. What do you think should be done around that to ensure that there is stability in it?
There you come when we have a thorough, good exercise of civic education, where the city will realize the interests of the nation. Also, you talk about social media. SLAG as an association, the media, the mass media, civil societies, they should not watch for where the funding is coming from, because at times most of them watch for where the funding coming from, in favor of the funding interest. We should all come on board. Remember, this is the same strategy this same president at the time when he was head of state used for us to have peace. He called it National Consultative Conference. At that time was with Panafo, a very active young student coming up. They have the national, because at that time, if you come, when people say, let's talk it on the table, they don't know about the SO2, the commemorate them. There is no way we can have peace without dialogue. But the dialogue should come from us, together with the people and the politicians. The politicians and the people, especially the politicians, who realize that the people have tired for their gimmick.
So Amadou, lastly, before we...
The people have tired of this political rhetoric. What they should understand now is the time, and now is the answer. There is no other way for them to go. It's for us to come together. That will not say that you should not have APC and SFP. No, but when it comes to the issue of national interest, when we come to the issue of national interest, this national interest, I think that is what area. Let's say, for instance, the MP was talking about law. They talking about if you make bad laws. That's what's affecting. I think most of the other the opposition. And when I talk about opposition, we should also talk about just APC and SFP. Because remember, how many parties contested the elections? They have not been debarred. They should be given opportunity in this national dialogue, and also organizations, even the Rasta community, the Rastafari community.
All of them. The dialogue is quite important also. But what do you think about the genuinity of this dialogue? We saw a recent dialogue, and then we saw also APC going out, coming in. The genuinity of the dialogue. Do you think it's another problem?
Well, in any dialogue, there would be disagreement during the process of the dialogue. Having said that, it is very important that we always know that it is better to come to the table and make an objective decision that will lead to the change that we want to effect. And when it comes to the genuinity of how people participate in these dialogues, let me tell you something. We really need a review of our national constitution. And our national constitution should be stiff to certain things that the political parties, right, would not prompt genuine citizens, right, to sell themselves to the party, ignoring the interest of the country. Because it is in this case when I may have my own view. I believe that this is the right thing. I want to stand for it. And let's take the case of Mohamed Bangura, right? When his party decided they were not going to go to parliament, and he said, in my view, I think my people have elected me. No matter what the problem is, since I do not have evidence, I know the only way to contest this result is to go to the court. And if my party didn't go through that direction, for me, I am going to go to parliament to represent the people. Eventually, everybody said, yes, okay. Everybody said what he did was wrong. But let me tell you what he showed at that time. Because he knew the other party was going to come.
And they come.
He knew that they were going to come. So it implies he listened to his people. And I believe his people have got his back.
Thank you.
For what he
Thank
did.
you.
And that's what I was talking about. Members of parliament should consult their people before making decision.
Thank you.
Because if you check politics, even international, Obama, when he was in parliament, he voted against the Iraq war. That's what the actual precipitated from becoming president. People checkmate the research. Oh, this man was a liberal man. Everybody said no. Let it be on record. There are at times, one way the MP at times, even you members of parliament, vote in the interest of your people and call a snap press conference immediately to engage the media. So this is my position. I just want to support what you're saying about Mohamed Bangura. This is my position. My party has decided this thing, but I'm still part of the party.
So politicians should be highly collaborative with their representative.
Highly consultative with their people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Truth information. Okay. Remember, we are talking just now what all causes tension. It causes tension within this tripartite of this national cohesion dialogue. It's misinformation and wrong information. Everybody was trumpets about to be wrong, except for the American ambassador to come boldly.
Yes.
Say there is not going to be wrong.
Thank you.
True information.
Thank you for that. Viewers, thank you for joining us for this edition of Weekend Review. We hope you found our discussions enlightening. Especially thanks to our guests Razak Uri and Amadou Ba, who have added their valuable insights. I have been your presenter, Samuel Tunisoya. Be sure to tune in next week as we continue to bring you in-depth analysis of our stories that matters. Until then, stay informed and have a lovely weekend. God bless you.